We live in a time of incredible change. It feels like the world is moving faster than ever before, almost like someone hit the fast-forward button on the remote control of history and then lost it down the side of the sofa. You know that feeling when you're watching a show and you think you understand the rules. You know who the good guys are, you know who the bad guys are, and then suddenly, the main character is a dragon? That's where we are now. The old rhythms and cycles that have shaped our world for nearly a century are beginning to break down. This isn't just a minor update, it's a complete system overhaul, and it can feel strange, fast, and deeply confusing. But here's the thing about major changes. They are not just about loss, they are also about opportunity. Whenever an old system cracks, it creates space for something new to grow. This essay is a guide to understanding this great shift. We're going to look at what specific cycles are breaking apart right now, the economy, the way countries interact. Then we'll explore the new cycles that are emerging to take their place over the next 2 decades, from 2025 to 2045, to not just survive but actually thrive in this new world. So, what is a cycle? Think of it as a repeating pattern, the world's background music. For decades, the world ran on a set of predictable cycles. These patterns set the unwritten rules for our lives, our jobs, and our money. For about 80 years, since the end of World War II, these cycles worked in harmony, creating a relatively stable and predictable global environment. You could plan your life around them. Now, in a rare historical moment, many of these fundamental cycles are breaking at the same time. When this happens, the world can feel unstable and chaotic, as if the very ground beneath our feet is shifting. This simultaneous breakdown is what makes our current era so unique and, frankly, so challenging. It's one thing to deal with an economic recession or a new technology. It's another thing entirely when the economic rules, the technological landscape, the global power structure, and even the social fabric are all changing at once. It's like trying to fix your car's engine while the wheels are falling off. Let's start with the economy, because that's where most of us feel the changes first. For a very long time, the economy moved in a regular, predictable wave. People called it the boom and bust cycle. Think of it like a heartbeat. For about 8 to 10 years, the economy would grow, the boom, and then it would slow down or shrink, the bust. This rhythm was so reliable that governments could plan around it. Businesses could plan around it. Even families could plan around it. You knew that after a few good years, you should probably save up, because a tougher period was likely coming. It was the financial equivalent of knowing that summer is followed by winter. But that old, familiar rhythm is gone. The heartbeat has become irregular, and several things broke the pattern. First, for more than a decade, interest rates were kept at historically low levels, close to zero. This made money incredibly cheap to borrow, which fueled a long period of growth but also inflated massive bubbles in everything from housing to stocks. Now, as interest rates have risen to fight inflation, the entire system is adjusting to the shock of money no longer being free. It's like the global economy was running on espresso for 10 years and just switched to decaf. Second, the world is swimming in debt. Governments have borrowed staggering amounts. Corporations have borrowed staggering amounts. Individuals have borrowed staggering amounts. This high level of debt acts like an anchor, weighing down the potential for future growth. That leaves less for investment, less for innovation, less for spending. For many countries, this means they have very little room to maneuver when the next crisis hits, making the entire global financial system more fragile and less able to bounce back in the old, predictable way. Finally, the very structure of the global economy is changing. The era of hyper-globalization, where goods and money flowed freely across borders, is winding down. Countries are becoming more protective of their own industries. A process sometimes called deglobalization. Supply chains, which used to be spread all over the world to find the cheapest labor, are now being reshored or nearshored for security reasons. This shift creates new costs, new inefficiencies, and a completely different set of rules for international trade, effectively breaking the engine of the old economic cycle. But understanding these breaking points is the first step toward navigating the future with confidence and a sense of hope. Another fundamental cycle that is breaking is demographics, which is really just a fancy word for the patterns of human populations. For centuries, the basic model of society was simple. Each generation was larger than the one before it. Young people created a pyramid structure, a large base of workers supporting a smaller retired group. This model fueled economic growth. Powered armies ensured people would buy things, pay taxes, and keep the system running. It was a reliable engine of expansion. Now, in many wealthy developed countries, that engine is sputtering out. Birth rates have fallen below replacement level. Fewer young people, rapidly growing older populations. The population pyramid is flipping upside down, becoming more like a top-heavy pillar. This shift breaks the old model of population-driven growth. Economies face stagnation or contraction and immense pressure on healthcare and pensions. This isn't just a few countries. It's happening across Europe, Japan, China. They face labor shortages, a shrinking consumer base, and huge fiscal burdens of elder care. Options: dramatically increase productivity, embrace massive automation, or open doors to significant immigration. Each option brings deep social and political challenges. At the same time, another story is unfolding elsewhere. South Asia, like India and many African nations, have large growing youth populations. These regions are poised to be new centers of demographic and economic dynamism. A major demographic realignment will shift power from the aging North to the youthful South. That imbalance will reshape global labor markets, migration patterns, and international relations for decades to come. Technology has always driven change, but the cycle of technological innovation itself has fundamentally changed. In the past, major technological revolutions unfolded over decades. The shift from steam power to electricity took the better part of a century to fully transform society. These cycles were long enough for people, industries, governments. You could learn a trade and be reasonably sure it would last for your entire career. But that slow, predictable rhythm of technological change has been shattered by the exponential pace of digital innovation. We have moved from an era of mechanization, machines doing physical work, digitization, turning information into ones and zeros, into a new era of intelligence. The defining technology of our time is artificial intelligence. It is evolving at a speed our linear brains struggle to comprehend. Unlike past technologies that automated manual labor, AI is beginning to automate writing, coding, designing, analyzing, problem-solving. This breaks the old rules about the value of labor, the nature of expertise, the process of innovation itself. This acceleration means that the skills that are valuable today might be obsolete in 5 or 10 years. The idea of a single, lifelong career is becoming a relic of the past. The technology cycle is no longer a gentle wave, but a relentless series of tsunamis, each one arriving before society has had a chance to recover from the last. This creates immense pressure on our educational systems, our labor markets, our individual capacity to learn and adapt. It changes the fundamental relationship between humans and tools. Our tools are becoming our partners, competitors, collaborators. Furthermore, this technological acceleration is not happening in a vacuum. It is intersecting with all the other breaking cycles. AI is impacting the economy, changing productivity. It is affecting geopolitics through cyber warfare surveillance. It is influencing social cycles by changing how we communicate, form communities. The sheer speed and pervasive impact of this new technology cycle act as a massive accelerant pouring fuel on the fire of all the other changes happening simultaneously, making the entire system even more unpredictable and volatile. For about 75 years after World War II, the world operated under a relatively clear geopolitical cycle. This was the era of the Pax Americana, the American peace. The United States, with its dominant economy and dominant military, established a global order built on a network of alliances, the United Nations, the World Bank, and a set of rules governing trade and security. While it was never perfect and was often challenged, this U.S.-led order provided a stable framework for international relations. Nations generally knew where they stood, who their allies were, and what the rules of the game were. That long, stable cycle is now definitively over. The world is no longer unipolar or even bipolar like during the Cold War. We are rapidly moving into a multipolar world. The rise of China as a true economic and military peer to the United States is the most significant driver of this change, but it's not the only one. China, India, Brazil, Turkey, Japan, remilitarizing. All are asserting their own interests and carving out their own spheres of influence. This shift breaks the old cycle of predictable alliances and stable power dynamics. The world is becoming more fragmented, more competitive, and less governed by a single set of rules. Instead of a globalized community, we are seeing the emergence of competing blocs with different values and economic systems. This new geopolitical landscape is defined by increased competition for resources, technological supremacy, and strategic influence. The battleground has also expanded from physical territory to cyberspace supply chains and the flow of information itself, making conflict more complex and constant. The breakdown of the old order also means that the international institutions designed for that era are struggling to cope with today's challenges. The UN Security Council often finds itself paralyzed by the competing interests of major powers. This makes it much harder to address global problems like climate change, pandemics, and financial crises. The end of the old geopolitical cycle doesn't necessarily mean a major war is inevitable, but it does mean a period of greater instability, uncertainty, and strategic realignment. A new global equilibrium has yet to be found. As the old cycles break, new cycles are being born. The most powerful new cycle, the AI revolution. Not just another technology, a general-purpose technology, like electricity, like the internet. It will be the engine of economic and social change from 2025 to 2045, creating immense wealth, causing profound disruption, becoming the central nervous system of global civilization. First impact, work and productivity. AI is co-pilot for knowledge workers, augmenting human intelligence, automating repetitive cognitive tasks, writer with AI research assistant, programmer with AI coding partner, doctor with AI diagnostic tool. Dramatic jumps in productivity, many jobs automated out of existence, especially routine information processing, massive retraining and reskilling required, new opportunities, significant social challenges, reshaping the corporate landscape. Winners, companies that build and deploy AI, like past 2 decades, internet and mobile computing, a new wave of innovation and investment, startups and incumbents racing, competition will be fierce, winners amass enormous economic power. What being skilled means changes. If AI can answer any question, mere knowledge loses value. The most valuable skills will be creativity, critical thinking, emotional intelligence, strategic judgment, ability to ask the right questions. Collaborating effectively with AI becomes critical. Human value shifts from rote knowledge to unique creative and interpersonal capabilities. Running parallel to the AI revolution, 2 other powerful new cycles are gaining momentum. The energy revolution and the demographic realignment, The energy revolution marks the beginning of a historic shift away from our centuries-long reliance on fossil fuels. This is not just about climate change, it's also about economics. It's also about geopolitics. The cost of renewable energy sources, particularly solar power, has been falling exponentially for years. We are approaching a point where clean energy will be the cheapest energy available, a development that will have staggering consequences for the global economy. This new energy cycle, powered by cheap solar, wind, advanced batteries, small modular nuclear reactors, green hydrogen, will reshape industries. Abundant, low-cost energy can make manufacturing cheaper, power the massive data centers required for the AI revolution, and enable new technologies like large-scale water desalination. It will change transportation, agriculture, and the very design of our cities. Countries and companies that lead this transition will gain a significant competitive advantage, while those that remain tied to the old fossil fuel economy will be left behind. Simultaneously, the demographic realignment will shift the world's center of gravity. As the developed world ages, the demographic dividend, the economic growth that comes from having a large, youthful workforce, will move to South Asia, Africa, and parts of Southeast Asia. Nations like India, Nigeria, Indonesia, and Pakistan will have the largest and youngest populations on the planet. If they can provide education and opportunities for their youth, these countries are poised to become the next great engines of global growth and innovation throughout this period. This realignment will profoundly alter global markets and human life. Consumer markets in aging countries may stagnate, while those in youthful countries will boom. Global talent will increasingly come from these new demographic centers, leading to new patterns of migration and a more diverse global workforce. This shift in human capital will also translate into a shift in cultural and political influence. The ideas, tastes, and values of these rising nations will play a much larger role in shaping the global conversation, creating a more genuinely multicultural and multipolar world than ever before. A fourth major new cycle emerging is the digitalization of civilization. This goes far beyond just using the internet or having a smartphone. This cycle involves moving the core components of our society, money, identity, property, social contracts, governance onto digital platforms. We are in the early stages of building a parallel digital civilization that will increasingly merge with our physical one. This process will make many aspects of life faster, more efficient, more globally connected, but it will also introduce entirely new challenges and risks. One of the key aspects of this cycle is the transformation of money and assets. The rise of digital currencies, whether issued by central banks or decentralized networks, is changing our relationship with finance. Digital assets, from stocks, real estate, art, can be fractionalized, tokenized, and traded on global platforms 24/7. This has the potential to democratize access to investment, but also creates new avenues for speculation and systemic risk. Your property in the future might not just be a house, but also a portfolio of digital assets, a valuable online brand, or a stake in a decentralized autonomous organization, a DAO. This digitalization cycle also extends to our sense of identity and community. Our digital identities, our social media profiles, our online reputations, our data trails are becoming as important as our physical ones. Communities are no longer defined solely by geography, but by shared interests, values, goals in online spaces. This allows for incredible new forms of connection and collaboration across borders, but it also creates echo chambers, fuels polarization, and raises profound questions about privacy, data ownership, and the nature of truth in an age of deepfakes and misinformation. Ultimately, this cycle forces us to reinvent our social structures for a digital age. How do we ensure security, fairness, and trust in a world where interactions are increasingly mediated by algorithms? How do we govern digital spaces and protect individual rights? How do we maintain a sense of shared reality and social cohesion? The answers to these questions are not yet clear. We are actively building this new digital civilization in real time, and the social norms, ethical frameworks, and legal systems we create over the next 20 years will shape the fabric of society for generations to come. So, given all this massive, world-altering change, what can you actually do? It can feel overwhelming, but don't try to predict the future perfectly. Build resilience and adaptability. Position yourself to catch the new waves of opportunity as they rise. First, become AI augmented. Don't fear AI as a competitor, embrace it as a partner. Start using AI tools right now to help you. Research, write, brainstorm, code, learn. Work alongside AI to boost your productivity and creativity. This will be the most valuable professional skill of the next decade. Second, start building digital assets. An asset generates value even when you're not actively working. Old world examples: real estate stocks. New world examples: YouTube channel, podcast, online course, niche software application, strong personal brand with a loyal following. These can scale globally with near zero marginal cost and provide income not tied directly to your time. Start small. Create something online. Third, develop adaptability as a core trait. Learning new things quickly beats what you already know. Train your learning muscle by exposing yourself to new ideas, new skills, new perspectives. Practice mindfulness, practice emotional regulation to stay calm under uncertainty. Cultivate a flexible mindset and be willing to pivot when new information arrives. Your psychological resilience will be your greatest asset. Fourth, invest in the future, even in small ways. You don't need to be a venture capitalist to get exposure. Look for ways to invest in broad index funds or ETFs focused on future themes. AI and robotics, biotechnology, cybersecurity, clean energy, semiconductors. Think long-term. Don't chase get-rich-quick schemes. Have a small stake in transformative cycles. Small, consistent investments now can grow substantially over 2 decades. We are living through a genuine turning point in history. The comfortable, predictable cycles that defined the world for the better part of a century are breaking down. The economic, demographic, technological, geopolitical foundations of the post-war era are all shifting at once. This can be unsettling and provoke a great deal of anxiety. It is easy to look at the scale of this change and feel powerless. But this moment of transition is not just an ending, it is also a beginning, filled with incredible potential for those who are willing to see it. The new cycles of the AI revolution, the clean energy transition, the global demographic realignment, the rise of a digital civilization will reshape our world from the ground up. These forces will create new markets, new forms of work, new sources of wealth, new ways of living. The rules of the game are being rewritten, and while this creates uncertainty, it also means the game is more open than it has been in a long time. The future is not yet set in stone. It is being actively built by the choices we make today. Your path to thriving in this new era does not require a crystal ball or a winning lottery ticket. It is built on a foundation of practical, deliberate actions. Embrace AI as your collaborator. Start creating value in the digital world by building assets. Cultivate your own adaptability and your mental resilience as your most prized possessions. Invest your time and resources in the technologies and trends that are building the future. And most importantly, shift your mindset from being a passive consumer of information and entertainment to an active creator of value. This moment in history is real, and it is happening now. It is a profound challenge, but it is also a profound invitation. An invitation to learn, adapt, build, and to participate in the creation of the world to come. The ground is shifting, yes, but that also means you have the opportunity to find a new, better place to stand. Do not be paralyzed by the scale of the change. Start with small, consistent steps. The world is changing, and you have everything you need to change with it. The future is not something that happens to you. It is something you can help create.